Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? All right, then. First of all, I would like to apologize if it's a little bit noisy around me. Um, greetings, everyone. I'm trying to make this short. We're delighted to have you again in our third webinar this time, hosted by the AFRONE. We're glad to have all of you here. And like every session, I just would revise with you all the guidelines to make the most of our meeting. The microphones and cameras will be turned on just to minimize the distractions and ensure optimal quality. Your interaction and your active participation through the chat function is highly encouraged. Please add all the questions you're going to need in the chat, and we will mentor and respond to as many as we can after the presentation. It will last for 1 hour. First 45 minutes will be the main presentation, and the last 15 minutes will be the question and a session. And please note that the webinar will be recorded for future reference and knowledge sharing purposes. It will be later made available on LinkedIn, on our WhatsApp group, and probably on the website as well, the AFRAN website. After the session, I'm going to send you a feedback link in the chat. So please know your feedback is valuable to us. We will share it. And please take a few moments to share your thoughts with us and fill the form. Thanks a lot. Now, please join me in welcoming today's speaker. Dr. Akil is a clinical consultant and researcher at King George Medical University, India. He has remarkable credit of contributing to the academics by publishing high impact original research like books, book chapters, peer reviews of many national and international journals. He's the editor-in-chief of national journals, associate editor in many international ones, editor and editorial board member of many national and international journals. Uh, Go ahead, doctor.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. I am very thankful to Professor Ma for giving this wonderful opportunity to address the early career researchers. So, coming to my presentation, is my screen is can see the screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, you left.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
great. So this is a beautiful campus of my university, King George's Medical University, which has been established in 1905 by King George V, and we have more than 100 years of legacy in research and innovations, and we are the second oldest medical university in India. So today, my talk will be focused basically on the grant writing process and what the insights you should have or instinct you should have to secure a grant when the call is open for the research proposal. So before introduction to the topic, we should understand why these funding agencies are opening these research calls for research proposals. So importance of research in overall can be divided in three parts. First is to fill the knowledge gaps, whatever the evidence available and what other evidences are developing to fill that knowledge gap. We have to go for the research. And these knowledge gaps can be filled by the gathering of the data of a particular disease or a particular pathology, means whatever the thirst area of the research and uh, coming evidences. We have to, the first objective is to fill the knowledge gap. That is the importance of the first step in the research. Then second is based on this filling of these knowledge gaps, we tailors interventions, and that aimed at targeted health intervention and policy makings. So this is the second main importance of the research, why we do the research. Then based on these tailored interventions, we advocate for the change. uh, we use these research finding to drive policy changes and improve healthcare access by suggesting the supreme authorities or the government representatives that these are the evidences which are very new or coming in all the way. It can be related to diagnosis or prevention or treatment perspective. So in all these three broad spectrum, uh, we do the research. So what these research funding agencies generally do, they generally fund all those researches in medicine, public health, or allied disciplines to conduct the coming evidence or knowledge gaps or a particular treatment interventions and so many things. You might be already aware of that. So basically these funding agencies uh, fund such researches, and they also do it through their extramural research programs, because these research agencies have many type of funding classifications, like some of them, and it differs from countries to countries. Like in NIH or NIDCR, there are different gradings for RO to R, starting from RO to many other numericals. So they are different classifications in which the area of thrusts are the different and very objective. So it varies from country to country what type of funding opportunities are available. But most of the time, the as an early career researcher, you can focus on extramural research programs. It can be either at your national level agency or international research agencies. Later on my talk, I will discuss with you the different international funding agencies which funds these extramural uh, grants, especially for the developing countries and, of course, for the African subcontinent. So the priority of these research funding agencies, generally uh, they fund all those proposals which are multidisciplinary, and they are focused for problem solving or on based on the evidences of the priorities, diseases, or conditions which are very prevalent in a particular country or can say particular demographic area. So, and basically, apart from the basic research, nowadays is funding agencies are focusing more on the multidisciplinary approach rather than a singular approach. So generally, they do it by the achieving specific and measurable objectives, and it should be in line with the agency priorities. So the grant, whatever you are focusing, uh, already in the call, if they are advertising, they will specifically mention the area of the thirst or area of uh, the particular research in which these grants are available, because all the time these calls have focused uh, area of interest, and whenever you are targeting such, it means when these calls are there, you cannot you cannot apply for these calls randomly until unless it doesn't fall in your area of research expertise. So nowadays, these multidisciplinary projects are highly preferred than the singular projects. So with discussing about the priority diseases or conditions on which these funding agencies are the focus, it depends from country to country. In my country, India, it has been broadly classified in two major diseases, three major diseases. First is the communicable diseases, then non-communicable, and reproductive, maternal, child, and nutrition health. So these are the major broad classifications by Indian Council of Medical Research, in which all the diseases which affects the humans has been classified in three major groups. So in other international funding research agencies, they have these classifications. So in communicable diseases, mostly falls the infectious diseases. In non-communicable, most of the diseases are related to lifestyle or chronic diseases. And in reproductive, maternal, child, and nutrition, they are all diseases related to reproductive tract, childhood, and food-related problems. So here is an overall classification of the diseases of interest by Indian Council of Medical Research. And here you can see the oral health falls in the non-communicable diseases, and all other infectious diseases falls on communicable. So there is different classifications, and these funding agencies, what generally they do, they target for the uh, mostly now we can see that lifestyle diseases are very common, so they are doing a lot of funding to resolve this issue of the this burden of the diseases. Okay, so from each call to call it varies. It is with the uh, uh, communicable diseases or non-communicable diseases or reproductive or maternal child health diseases. It depends from research agencies to agencies which area they are focused. So broadly, when we talk about medical research in terms of funding opportunities from research agencies' perspective, they had been broadly classified in four categories. First is the descriptive research, second is the discovery research, third is the development research, and fourth is the delivery research. So, what is the descriptive research? It has been can be described in 4 points. First is the burden, all those researches which are basically associated with these non-communicable, long-standing diseases, and they are really burden on the uh, healthcare system. So basically, in this we address the health disparities and conditions which are uh, challenging and compromising quality of life in long-term uh, goals. So they are these researches are associated with the burden, then risk factors which are associated with behavioral or environmental. Then the determinants, it can be both social determinants or pathogenesis or mechanism associated with that particular disease. And then in fourth step, we look for the risk factor explorations, which help in understanding the disease conditions or health problems. So this is the first type of research. Then second is the discovery research, the second type, in which they fund preclinical studies, phase one studies, then genomic methods like nowadays a lot of these bioinformatics, artificial intelligence, and personalized medicines are coming in. So they fall in all these categories: discovery research, and also it includes phytopharmaceuticals and traditional medicines, because nowadays traditional medicines are also coming all the way after knowing all these major side effects of the drugs which are used in terminal diseases. So, like many other countries have very strong traditional medicinal literatures. Like we have Ayurveda in India, then in China it's traditional Chinese medicine. So many such strong evidences as coming up with the large randomized controlled trials. The funding agencies are also focusing on funding such researches. So in second category, this discovery uh, uh, research, all these four uh, type of studies they fund. Next is the development research, and basically this is one of the most short area of the funding by research agencies, and it is these developmental researches are basically associated with the screening for a particular disease or diagnosis in a large yeah, in all those diseases which are very prevalent, and it's a really danger to the population. Then we use in the prevention and treatment. So all these four categories projects fall in development research. Here you can say point of care testing. Then we can develop molecular diagnostic test like here in India we have a lot of increasing evidences of pre-cancer and oral cancers, and so in those cases we cannot go for the biopsy in very remote areas due to restricted access. So many molecular diagnostic tests has been developed, and we can do it just by kit testing. Then in other these lab researches we can have animal models, means just to establish all these 4 points. These major research agencies are funding this type of developmental projects. Then finally, and most important aspect of all these previous three type of researches is next is this fourth one is the delivery research, which is basically associated with whatever we have developed by descriptive research or developmental research, how we can deliver it to the our these suffering populations. So we can have four type of delivery research. First is the health system based in intervention in large in those countries which have a very robust and comprehensive health systems. We can uh, deliver any intervention in a very precisely manner, because like here in India we have a very robust vaccination programs for the polio since early 60s 70s. So that's why in even in the COVID pandemic we will able to inoculate our population in a very effective way due to already established this system. So they are really very helpful to do all the interventions in that setup. And in delivery research, the second step is we have to increase the access to healthcare. Like many modalities are there with the diagnostic kits and many other modalities where the healthcare access is really challenged in remote rural areas. Then we can definitely, with the help of this type of researches, we can reach out those area. Then with the all the these previous researches also we can frame up with the task force projects and national health programs or schemes, uh, And finally, we can reduce the inequity, and we can improve the quality of healthcare. So all these four objectives can be achieved with the delivery research. So nowadays, these developmental and delivery researches are prime areas of funding apart from the basic research by the funding agencies. So we are well versed with the research proposal writing. So I will just have a short uh, discussion about it. The about the research proposal outline, how it should be. So research proposals should be aimed for the prevention, screening, diagnosis, treatment, or rehabilitation. These all different categories of broadly classified areas in which these funding agencies uh, grants the fund. So it should be aimed depending on the type of the call. So just it's just to discuss a outline of study protocol. We starts from the background of that particular problem. Then we frame the research questions, then hypotheses, then our aims and objectives, then what are the study design and settings, then sample size calculations, the patient eligibilities methods, which we are going to use by the patient selection or variables measurements, then the proposed stats, expected results, and application of research. So this is just an outline which you all be well aware of it about the study protocol writing. Just it follows the same in the grant writing also, and each one has a very specific uh, targeted descriptions, like in background you have to describe what is the existing evidence and what is the particular problem which we are going to address. Then we can go for the research question, we can have a pcos and hypothesis and so on. So generally we can go through all these grant writing, but this is just a general outline. Many research agencies, they have a template especially designed for that. You can say it's a customized, and they propose to write the grant by their template, and they also have the word limitations. Okay, so for the particular section, you should be limited by the world. So in those all those cases, uh, you should be very thorough with your research problems and your hypothesis. And when there is the world limitation, it's really is your skill. And as an early career researcher, you should always have a mentor to guide you to make it more catchy, so that in that limited uh, words you can tell about the your research objective, and what are the knowledge gaps in that particular area, and make it more appealing so that your application can be considered for the award of the grant. So yeah, just an overall format of proposal, and as I told you, it's differs from funding agencies one to another. So the title here, it should be very specific, concise, and it should it's sufficiently descriptive and informative. So it is really very tricky. And like here in our national research agency, it is limited just to 25 words. Okay, so in 25 words, you have to say everything. Okay, and it should be sufficiently descriptive and informative also. So it's all about your title, which first catches the reviewer's attention. Okay, then is the summary. Second step is summary. It should be structured and should be have subheadings like rational. What is the rationale of your research? Gaps in existing knowledge, the existing evidence, and the what you have planned to get the new uh, from your research. Then novelty. This is very important uh, when you are writing a grant. Novelty of your project in context of uh, published uh, already published evidence or scientific literature. Yeah, why your project is novel, that it should be funded. So you should be very specific with the describing the novelty of your this research project. Then objectives, definitely it should be based on your hypothesis, then methods and expected outcomes. So all these subheadings should be described in summary. Then third one is the objectives. It should be clearly defined and should be in measurable terms, like what the we have a primary objective or secondary objectives. Okay, but the important thing is that you should not include more than 3 or 4 objectives. Okay, it's a preferable not to write more than that. And in next is the methodology, in which you have study design, sites and methods, and sample size calculation, implementation, and ethical issues. Whatever nowadays it's coming all the way, because most of the these funding agencies are also introducing these ethical aspects of the your research. So in your proposal, you have to write exclusively on the is there any ethical considerations with your planned research project also. So this is overall format of the proposal in general, but as I told you that it differs uh, and it is customized with the specific templates from different research funding agencies, and differs from countries to countries also. So as I was mentioning about the ethical considerations in grant writing, so there are basically 3 important points. First is the informed consent, then privacy and confidentiality, and respect of gender identities. These 3 aspects are coming all the way nowadays to do a successful research. So for the we are generally previously also we were practicing this informed consent. We were emphasizing importance of voluntary participations, and we had the informed consents from the patient or legal guardians in case of the minors in trials and other type of the researches. And also privacy and confidentiality, uh, as we know that it's the uh, participants' sensitive informations should be protected. And like in Europe, there is a very strong general data protection rule. GDPR is there also in the states and other all developed world. It is well structured guidelines to protect the privacy and confidentiality. So we have to do research in uh, considering this second point also. Then definitely respect for gender identity is also an important aspect in research grant. So using affirming language or self-identified genders respect is important. So previously it was not there, but now most of the funding agencies are insisting on this part also, how you are going to protect the privacy, confidentiality, or gender identity. So in most of the cases where we can anonymize this data and many other things, it's another area to discuss. Next important part from these uh, uh, different steps of the proposals, there are some key points that when you are framing these research grants, apart from uh, doing all these methodologies, best practice is to involve your local populations also in research process, and also foster partnerships to ensure research is relevant and beneficial, and encourage public and private organizations to prioritize health. That means nowadays, previously, all those research grants which are basically funded for the basic research or even the translational research to some extent, now the funding agencies are focusing more on the industry partnership uh, collaborative projects. Okay, so you will be a principal investigator, but uh, like in task force projects, the in which major community will be covered for, suppose you are trying a vaccine on a population. So all this field work will be backed up by some industry uh, partners, and that type of grant is also coming all the way, that apart from your uh, uh, this the research, you should have an industry partner who can help you out to do this research, and later on you can commercialize outcome of your research also. So this collaboration and community involvement is important in all those type of uh, grant proposals. And in research grant also, the funding agencies will provide a lot of perks, like they support travel support for the data collections in community settings, and contingencies in which it can be both of the recurring or non-recurring. Like in recurring, you can have these different routine expenses. In non-recurring, you can have these permanent equipments or whatever you want to purchase for your research. And definitely, we'll get a lot of staff, working hands who assist you in this your project. So most of the research project funding agencies have this. They will provide this privilege. So for submission of proposal, once you have written your proposal, each and every research funding agencies have their particular system of uh, application submission. Like in my country, we Indian Council of Medical Research, we have this website, and as a principal investigator, we have to register on this website. Then there is a few more steps, and then it will take us to proposal submission web page, and we can initiate and follow step by step the grant proposal submission. For more or less, it is same for other international research agencies also. Each one have their specific websites, on which you can get registered, and you can submit your proposal. So, budget considerations, it is most important part in a grant application, and it depends again from uh, country to country, and from funding agencies from one to another, because here uh, in our country, my country, there is no separate budget head for consumables, means daily routine usable things which are we using for the project. We cannot have the separate budget, so we have to club it in the broadly two-way contingencies. First is the recurring and non-recurring. So we have to put these all in that, and also we have a overhead charges. If suppose I have got a grant from Indian Council of Medical Research, then automatically institute have overhead charges, and it depends from uh, research agencies to research agencies, and I hope that it is more in developing countries like in UK and US also it is. So there are different budget considerations, and you have to follow their specific recommendations while doing this. So at last, the most important steps come in this grant seeking is the review of the proposal. So when a reviewer looks for your proposal, he first looks the rationale. Okay, like suppose if call is application is invited for artificial intelligence, and so they will look for the your research question, and they will look for the rationale. Is it able to solve that problem which you are mentioning? So rationale is their first hit on which they are focused. Second is the what will be the impact of your research in terms of health outcome. And third is, as I mentioned, novelty. The third uh, point they will evaluate is innovation. What is new in your research? Then methodology, how you are going to achieve your objectives, and then implementation strategy, and it should be in timely manner. So every grant has a particular duration, like 2 year or 3 years, and while writing the grant, you have to mention you have to account those 2 or 3 year duration for each step, how much time you are going to take. So the in timely manner, you have to, it's called grant chart or grant flow chart, how you describe all those stuff. So these are all these 5 points are the main points which in which reviewer look for. Okay, and basically in Indian Council of Medical Research, there are two independent experts which evaluates these proposals uh, separately on all these points, and more or less it's the same for uh, other funding research agencies also. Okay, so this is the end of my first part of the presentation, and now I will be talking about different research agencies which are exclusively focused for funding of early career researchers from Africa. I'm sharing my second presentation. Can you see my screen? So
Yes, detox.
yeah, thank you. So uh, there are many funding agencies which are exclusively funding research in African countries, and early career researchers are the focus for all this funding apart from the middle age or senior researchers. So the first funding research agency is the exclusively its name itself, Africa Research Excellence Fund, which is also known as AREF, uh, and it is supporting exclusively the health researcher across Africa. Uh, and the grants are really huge, uh, hugely funded, and most of the time, as we know that there are many diseases which are still uh, 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 it has to be screened with the proper epidemiological evidences, because recently I collaborated in Nigeria, and um, I was very surprised to know that there is uh, a tumor. It's called amyloblastoma. It's so common there, and here in India we have also very common, but not as prevalent as it is Nigeria. So we have developed a project to map this incidence and prevalence of this amyloblastoma in overall Africa. So there are many diseases, oral diseases, apart from the most common. Uh, we can focus uh, to put a proposal on that. And this research agency, Africa Research Excellence Fund, is uh, really focused for the African researchers exclusively. Then next is the United States Agency for International Development, which is also called USAID, and they are also very much focused on funding all the proposals from African countries. And the good thing is that they post this opportunity almost every day, and are at grants.gov or sam.gov. These are the websites. Then third is the associated with the European African cooperation. It's called European Union uh, Africa Cooperation Grants, and they are funding for both African and European researchers. And this grant is a wonderful opportunity uh, to uh, collaborate with the European researchers and African researchers, so they can have uh, uh, they can develop uh, many insightful projects in collaboration. And best part with this grant is that most of time it is a 3-year grant, and it can be there are many associated perks like in a year you have twice excursions to your respective labs or setup, and many other perks associated with this. So this is really a good grant to focus. Here is the website for this particular grant. Then it's from United Kingdom. There is a society. It's called the Royal Society of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene. It's called RSTMH, and this society also funds a lot of grant opportunities for the researchers from Africa. And they have also membership and fellowship opportunities, which means anybody can apply. And they also open these calls very frequently, and grant amount is really good. Here is the right? Then another US-based Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they also funds, and funding is really huge. So you can target, and all these funding agencies have their own specific guidelines for writing the grants and area of thirst in which they are inviting the applications. And here is the website for Gates Foundation. Then this is last one. It's called Global Alliance of Chronic Diseases. It's basically a huge organization, and it is an umbrella of research funding agencies in which uh, one developed country and one developing country is collaborated uh, under the umbrella of this research agency to do a bilateral international project. Like every year, it is open, and here in this um, funding agency also, each year they are specifying their own area of thirst, but most of the time, all the these epidemiological studies, if you are planning to do a epidemiological study in the uh, African subcontinent in collaboration with the US, UK, or other developed countries, this funding agency is best to target. And most of the time, the grant is opened in month of June or July. So you can have a check on the website of this funding agency, and you can apply for this grant also. Okay, so this is the last one which I shared. And thank you very much for having me and your patience listening.
Thanks a lot, Doctor, for this insightful and lovely presentation. And thank you so much for the resources as well. If anyone, guys, has any questions, please either raise your hand or write it in the chat. Dr. Maha, your mic is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Shakir, for the very interesting and insightful presentation. Lots of resources shared and experience. I have a question. What would be your advice to early career researchers from African countries on grant seeking? I know you have given us this presentation, but my feeling is that many of the early career researchers attending, and actually not only early career researchers, would be worried about seeking grants like for of a large scale. The point that they may not be competing enough or adequately with non-communicable diseases, like we have many problems in Africa. So do you think there would be a chance for oral diseases based proposals to get granted in Africa from early career researchers or otherwise? Thank you.
Yes, Professor Ma, it is there. As I mentioned, this GACD call is best suited for African countries. Okay, because basically this uh, NIH, NIDCR, and from UK MRC, all these funding agencies are collaborating with these countries. I think uh, they already have did it with the Nigeria, a Nigerian research agency, and it's really, if the only thing is with the GACD proposal is they are very restricted with the word limits. Okay, for each section they have a word limits, like introduction, overall proposals would be in the 4,000 word, and it should be very crunching. And then I don't think so it's difficult to get. And the best thing is grant is really huge. I myself applied for almost, it was a 400,000 pound, and it was granted. So it's good opportunity. The only thing is, my suggestion is for all those early career researchers from the Africa, it's always better to collaborate senior researcher in developed world, since we belong to this developing part of the world, and it is always beneficial in both way. Okay, you will be doing project as well as you will be getting mentorship also. So, and mostly means these senior members are really open for such grants. So I am very hopeful that it can be, it's not difficult.
Thank you. Thank you for response. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
All right. We have a question. Dr. Mithinta says, does the African Union have any grants for the early career researchers from Africa?
That's I am doubtful, because as I have uh, look for overall, each means each country, like in Nigeria, it's a very robust. They have their own grant system. In one more country was there, I think. Sorry, I forgot. So I think it is there, but the system is not very uh, robust. But sooner or later, it will be. It will be. I'm very hopeful.
All right, Doctor. One last question. Uh, Doctor says, can we get some of the websites or links for seeking grants?
Sorry.
Someone is asking, can we get some of the websites or links for seeking grants?
Yeah, as I can share all this website which I shown in your in my presentation. Can just have a look at it. Okay, and or otherwise, if you are recording this presentation, then I can share my slides with you all, and you can directly. It is hyperlink. You can open from the PPT itself.
All right, then you can send it to me and I'll be sharing it with all the participants.
Yep.
Dr. Matinta, your mic is allowed. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. You had mentioned to say the funding organizations have got may have their own priority of funding. So, do you think that this influences the type of research that the early career researcher is going to do, because they will then be forced to go for those topics or research lines that are actually funded, rather than going for the one that a research that they would actually want to do but is not a priority for the funding organization?
Uh, that's very tricky. And as I mentioned that, all the research agencies, they, before opening the call, they will have a survey of means, like if they are looking for some intervention or some epidemiological, depending on the report from and the discussion from overall community, they choose the area of the thirst. Okay, so each funding agencies have their own priorities, definitely, and sometimes, not always, but sometimes it limits. It is limit for the early career researchers. So that's why I suggested to collaborate, and we can submit application in that. But most of the time, uh, currently, these like this digital, I work in the dentistry, digital dentistry. So digital dentistry or AI or epidemiological studies. So you have to choose. You cannot apply to all research agencies for the funding. Like if you are a epidemiology researcher, then you can focus on GACD or all those grant opportunities which are opened by Institute of Health and Metrics Evaluation, which is exclusive organization to look global burden of the diseases in overall world for all type of diseases, communicable, non-communicable, or related to maternal health. So it's it's really good to, you should be very focused on which what is your area of interest and what the funding agency you are going to choose. Okay, so like that.
All right, Doctor, thanks a lot. The last question we have, Dr. Hanin is asking, my question, she says, like, thank you for the informative presentation. My question is, do you have any advice when it comes to writing budget estimates?
Yes, definitely your budget should be very clear and precise. That means, suppose each research agencies have their own budget format also. Okay, so when you are doing some basic research, the consumable parts which you are going to use, like chemicals, reagents, or all those stuff, you should be very precise with the quoting this price. And when you are means, suppose most of the time it will take almost 6 months to 1 year to get the grant accepted after the application process. So you should arrange your funds in perspective of those time gap in which you can have increased price of all these things. Apart from these consumables, you should also be very specific about your personals which you are going to hire for your project. Okay, so basically in basic researches it goes like that, and in task it differs from type of research how you are going to, but it's still the budget estimate is really good, and you should be very clear and explainable why you have quoted this much amount. It is always better to get a quotation, recent quotation from the companies, and you can put with the proposal as a evidence that this is really what is and what it will be after 1 year. For task force projects, we need a lot of manpower. So everything should be justified. What I want to say, whatever the price, whatever the amount you are quoting, it should be justified.
All right. All right then. Anyone else? Anyone else has any questions? Good. Okay, I think all is good now. Thanks a lot, doctor, for sharing such valuable information and this presentation. Thanks for being here today. And I think this would be the end of our session today.
Okay, thank you very much to all of you.
Thanks a million. Thanks a lot, guys, for attending our webinar today. I posted the form for the evaluation in the chat. Please take a minute to fill it. I will also post it on the WhatsApp group. And have a great evening, everyone.
Have a great evening to you all. Bye.